All right, so welcome to this deep dive, everyone. Um, Today, we're focusing on prepping you for a hydrologist job interview.
Okay.
Imagine spending your days wading through streams,
Mhm.
and you're collecting data that will help manage our most precious resource, water.
Right. It's a valuable
That
resource.
sounds pretty exciting, right?
Yeah.
But to actually land that dream job, gotta nail that interview.
Yeah.
So today we've got some actual interview questions taken straight from RoleCatcher.
Okay.
And then we have some expert insights on how to actually answer those.
Yeah.
We'll also sprinkle in some career advice from the career guide, Hydrologist.
Right.
So you're not just ready for the interview, but also ready for the job itself.
Yes, that's key.
And of course, we'll show you how RoleCatcher can give you that extra edge.
Absolutely.
So you're ready.
Let's dive in. Let's start with a question that frequently kicks off interviews. What led you to pursue a career in hydrology?
Yeah, it seems pretty simple, but I bet there's more to it than just listing off your qualifications.
Yeah, you're right. It's really about showcasing your passion for water. So interviewers really want to hear what sparked your interest in this field. Was it a childhood fascination with rivers, a concern about water scarcity? You want to be able to share your story. It makes you memorable.
So think about what really drew you to this field.
Yes.
Now, once you've shared that personal connection, be ready for follow-up questions,
Yes.
such as, what specific areas within hydrology excite you most?
Exactly. That's your chance to connect your passions to the job. Maybe you're really fascinated by groundwater modeling or passionate about the impacts of climate change on water resources. You want to research the organization and be able to align your interests with their work.
Yeah, that's a great point. Research is key. So let's move on to a more technical question. How do you collect and analyze water data?
All right. Well, this is where you can highlight your technical skills. So first, you want to outline the process, collecting water samples, measuring stream flow, and using tools like remote sensing.
Speaking of remote sensing, the career guide mentions how it's revolutionizing the field.
Yeah.
Imagine monitoring water resources from space.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's definitely something to bring up if you have any experience or interest in it.
Absolutely. And then after you talk about that, talk about the analysis part of the question, mention specific software or statistical methods that you might use,
Okay.
such as GIS or hydrological modeling. And you want to keep it concise,
Right.
but don't shy away from showcasing your expertise.
Yeah. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can actually help.
Yes.
You can input the job description and your answer, and it will provide feedback on how well it aligns with what they're looking for.
Right. It helps you tailor your responses to each specific job. Now, a follow-up question you might get is, what challenges have you faced collecting data in the field?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's about showing you can problem solve.
Yes, exactly. So you want to talk about a time that you maybe had to deal with equipment malfunctions, bad weather, or difficult terrain. But highlight how you overcame those obstacles to get that accurate data.
So resourcefulness is a very valuable trait. So let's move on to a question that assesses your understanding of the bigger picture. How do you assess the impact of land use changes on water resources?
Okay, well, this is about connecting the dots between human actions and water systems. So think about urbanization or deforestation.
Right.
Explain how you use hydrological models to simulate different scenarios and predict impacts.
So it'd be helpful to connect this to a current event, right? Something that the interviewer might be familiar with.
Yes. You could mention a recent flood caused by deforestation, or you could talk about how urbanization is impacting groundwater levels in a specific region.
Okay, so making it relatable is key. Now, be prepared for a follow-up can you give a specific example of how land use changes impacted water resources in a particular region?
Yeah. This is where you can really showcase your knowledge with a real-world example.
Okay.
Maybe a case study you've researched or a project you've worked on. It demonstrates your ability to apply theory to practice.
Okay. Let's switch gears to a question that emphasizes communication. How do you communicate your findings to stakeholders and policymakers?
This really highlights the speaking skill that's mentioned in the career guide. And you're going to need to convey complex information to audiences with varying levels of technical understanding.
So how do you make sure your message is clear and relevant to different audiences?
You'll want to tailor your language. So when talking to policymakers, focus on policy implications using clear language and avoiding jargon. And when presenting to fellow scientists, you can delve into the technical details. Visual aids can also be helpful, like graphs, charts, things like that.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher has a video practice feature that can
Yes.
analyze your nonverbal communication.
It's a very helpful tool.
After all, how you say something is just as important as what you say.
Exactly. It helps you present yourself as a confident and articulate professional. Now, be ready for a follow-up question such as,
Hmm.
how would you explain a complex hydrological concept to someone with no scientific background?
That's a good test of communication skills.
It is. It's about breaking down jargon, using clear analogies, and tailoring your message to the audience. You could practice explaining a concept to a friend outside the field to get some feedback.
Great advice.
Hmm.
Now let's tackle a question that emphasizes continuous learning.
All right.
How do you stay current with advancements in hydrology research and technology?
Okay, well, this is your chance to showcase your commitment to professional development.
Right.
So you could mention specific resources like the American Water Resources Association
Oh.
or the American Society of Civil Engineers. Attending conferences and reading journals are also key to staying up to date.
And don't be afraid to name drop a recent breakthrough or hot topic in hydrology.
Yes.
It shows that you're actively engaged with the latest developments. Now, a follow-up you might encounter here is, what recent development in hydrology have you found particularly interesting or impactful?
Be ready to discuss a research study, a new modeling technique, or a technological innovation that's caught your eye. It shows that you're not just keeping up, but you're critically thinking about the advancements.
So far we've covered a lot of ground.
Yes, we have.
Just remember that the key is to be prepared, be enthusiastic, and use all the resources available to you, including RoleCatcher.
Absolutely.
We'll continue this deep dive in the next part, so stay tuned.
Sounds good.
Ah,
Okay, let's delve into another pretty common interview question.
okay.
How do you manage competing priorities and deadlines in your work as a hydrologist?
Oh, this one's all about organization
Yes.
and time management and clear communication, right?
Absolutely. So share specific strategies that you use.
Okay.
Do you create detailed work plans? Do you prioritize tasks based on urgency? Use project management tools, you'll want to mention those,
Right.
and highlight the importance of keeping your supervisor and colleagues in the loop.
Yeah, and the career guide does mention the possibility of long hours and tight deadlines in this field.
Yes, it's true.
So being able to handle that pressure effectively is a big plus.
Yes.
Now, a potential follow-up here could be,
Yeah.
can you describe a time when you had to handle multiple deadlines and how you prioritized your work?
Yeah, that's a classic behavioral question. So be ready with a specific example from your experience.
Okay.
Walk them through how you used your skills to meet those deadlines successfully.
Yeah.
Now, let's not shy away from the big issue impacting the world, including the field of hydrology.
Right.
How do you integrate climate change into your hydrological modeling and analysis?
This question is becoming increasingly important, right? It's not just about understanding the water cycle anymore. It's about understanding how climate change is disrupting it.
Precisely. You could mention how you would incorporate climate change projections into your models,
Okay.
considering different scenarios and potential impacts on water availability, flood risks, and drought occurrences.
It's important to acknowledge the uncertainties that come with those projections, right?
Absolutely. Explain how you account for those uncertainties using sensitivity analyses
Yeah.
to explore different potential outcomes. Now, a possible follow-up question could be, what are some of the biggest challenges in incorporating climate change projections into hydrological models?
This one really digs into your understanding of the complexities of climate modeling.
Right, so you'll want to talk about limitations of data, challenges in projecting future climate scenarios,
Right.
and the need to consider a range of potential impacts. Show them that you're thinking critically about the assumptions and limitations of your analysis.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about teamwork
All right.
with this question.
Yeah.
How do you collaborate with other professionals, such as engineers and geologists, on hydrology projects?
Well, hydrology projects often require a multidisciplinary approach.
Right.
You're rarely working solo.
Yeah.
So explain how you ensure smooth collaboration and communication with people from different fields.
The career guide actually gives some great examples of cross-functional collaboration in hydrology.
Yes, they do.
You could mention those to illustrate your understanding of how different disciplines work together.
Yes. For instance, you might have worked with engineers to design water management infrastructure or collaborated with geologists to assess groundwater resources. Exactly. Real-world examples always make a strong impression. Now, be ready for a follow-up question, such as, can you describe a time when you had to work with someone from a different discipline and how you navigated those differences in perspectives?
This is a great opportunity to highlight your interpersonal skills and your ability to work effectively in a team.
Yes. So you could talk about a time when you had to find common ground between, say, an engineer's focus on technical feasibility and a geologist's concern about environmental impacts.
Okay.
Show how you used communication, active listening, and respect for expertise to reach a successful outcome.
Okay, let's talk community involvement with this question. How do you approach stakeholder engagement in hydrology projects?
All right, this is another area where those communication skills really shine.
Right.
Explain how you go beyond just sharing information
Yeah.
and truly engage stakeholders in a meaningful way.
So it's about understanding that water management decisions affect various stakeholders, from local communities to government agencies, right?
Exactly. You can mention strategies like holding public meetings, conducting surveys, or forming advisory committees to gather feedback and build consensus. Now, a challenging follow-up question you might get is, how would you handle a situation where stakeholders have conflicting interests regarding a water management project?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Requiring diplomacy and strong conflict resolution skills.
It is. You could discuss the importance of understanding each stakeholder's perspective, facilitating open dialogue,
Right.
and finding creative solutions that address everyone's concerns as much as possible. Show them that you're committed to finding a solution that benefits all parties involved.
All right, before we wrap up this section on interview questions,
Yeah.
let's tackle one that gets to the heart of scientific analysis.
Okay.
How do you incorporate uncertainty and risk into your hydrological modeling and analysis?
Okay, this is a critical aspect of hydrology as we're often dealing with complex systems, incomplete data, and unpredictable events.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those limitations and communicating potential risks transparently.
And the career guide actually mentions the importance of ethical considerations in hydrology,
Yeah.
including professional certifications like the Certified Professional Hydrologist.
Yes,
Highlighting your commitment to ethical practices can be very reassuring for interviewers.
absolutely. Now, to answer the question directly,
Okay.
you could talk about how you use statistical methods to quantify uncertainty, conduct sensitivity analyses to assess the impact of different variables, and develop contingency plans to address potential risks. A good follow-up question they might ask is, how do you communicate potential risks to decision makers in a way that's both informative and actionable?
That's where clear and concise communication is essential.
Yes.
You need to strike a balance between technical accuracy and ensuring that the information is easily understood.
Right, so you want to talk about presenting information in a way that highlights the potential consequences of different scenarios and offering recommendations for mitigating those risks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with these interview questions and potential follow-up questions.
We have.
But remember, these are just examples.
Right.
The specific questions you'll face will vary depending on the organization and the role. Now, before we move on to some general interview tips,
Yes.
let's talk a little more about how RoleCatcher can help you prepare.
It's a fantastic tool for taking your preparation to the next level.
Absolutely. We touched on some of its features earlier, but let's delve a bit deeper into how RoleCatcher can specifically help you ace that hydrologist interview. We talked about tailoring your CV and resume to specific job descriptions.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so RoleCatcher's AI engine analyzes the language and keywords used in the job description and compares them to your CV or resume.
So it's not just about having the right skills and experience, but also like presenting them in a way that aligns with what the employer is actually looking for.
Precisely. It highlights the most relevant aspects of your background and helps you structure your CV or resume for maximum impact. It's like having a personal editor who understands exactly what hiring managers are looking for.
And I know a lot of people struggle with writing cover letters. Can RoleCatcher help with that too?
Absolutely. The Copilot AI feature can actually help you generate customized cover letters tailored to the specific requirements of each job you apply for.
Okay.
It takes the guesswork out of highlighting your most relevant skills and experiences for each specific role.
That's incredible. It takes away so much of the stress of writing those often dreaded cover letters.
It does, and it helps ensure that your application stands out from the crowd. Now, let's talk about the interview practice feature. This is where RoleCatcher can really make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Practicing your answers is crucial, and RoleCatcher takes it to a whole new level.
It provides you with a library of practice interview questions categorized by career and skill, so you can find questions specifically for hydrologist roles.
And you can actually record yourself answering those questions and get AI-powered feedback, right?
Exactly. The AI analyzes your verbal and nonverbal communication, providing personalized insights on how to improve your clarity, confidence, and overall delivery.
So it's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Yes.
You get to see and hear yourself, which can be incredibly helpful for identifying any nervous habits or areas for improvement.
It can be very revealing, and it helps you refine your body language and ensure that your message comes across effectively.
We've talked about how RoleCatcher can help tailor your CV, craft compelling cover letters, and practice your interview answers. Are there any other features that job seekers should know about?
Yes. RoleCatcher also offers a wealth of information on different careers and industries. You can explore detailed career guides, research potential employers, and even identify skill development opportunities. It's a one-stop shop for all your career needs.
So it's not just about landing the job, but also planning your career path and staying ahead in the long run. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to the interview process itself. You've prepped your answers, practiced with RoleCatcher, and you're feeling confident. But what about those last-minute jitters? How can you make a lasting impression during the interview?
Well, it's natural to feel nervous. The key is to channel that energy into positive enthusiasm.
So instead of seeing it as a test, think of it as a conversation, a chance to share your passion and learn more about the role.
Exactly. And remember, interviewers are looking for more than just technical skills. They want to see that you're a good fit for their team and their culture.
So let's talk about those all-important soft skills. What can you do to showcase your personality and connect with the interviewers?
First and foremost, be yourself. Authenticity is crucial. Trying to be someone you're not will come across as insincere.
Plus, you want to make sure that you're a good fit for them, not just the other way around.
Exactly. Beyond being authentic, be enthusiastic. Let your passion for hydrology shine through. It makes the interview more enjoyable for everyone.
Enthusiasm is definitely contagious.
Uh-huh.
Now, another important tip is to be a good listener. Pay attention to what the interviewers are asking. Take a moment to gather your thoughts before responding. Don't rush to answer or interrupt.
Right. Active listening shows that you're engaged and respectful. It allows you to formulate a thoughtful response.
And don't hesitate to ask clarifying questions if you need to.
Absolutely. Asking questions demonstrates your curiosity and initiative.
What about body language? Any tips for projecting confidence?
Maintain eye contact with each interviewer, sit up straight, and try to relax. You want to appear confident and engaged, but not stiff or nervous. And remember, a genuine smile can go a long way.
Smiling makes you more approachable. Now, what about those awkward silences during interviews? Any advice for handling those?
If there's a pause after you've answered a question, take a breath and wait for the interviewer to speak. Don't feel the need to fill the silence. They might be processing your answer or taking notes.
Good point. Sometimes silence is just part of the conversation. Now, before we wrap up, what about questions for the interviewer? Should you prepare some?
Absolutely. Having a few questions shows you've done your research and are genuinely interested. You could ask about their current projects, their team culture, or their vision for the future of water management.
It's also a chance to assess whether the organization is a good fit for you.
Right. An interview is a two-way street. You're evaluating them just as much as they're evaluating you.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from specific interview questions to general tips and the power of RoleCatcher. What's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Be prepared, be passionate, and be yourself. Use all the tools at your disposal, including RoleCatcher, to showcase your skills and enthusiasm. You've got this.
We're rooting for you. Go out there and make a splash in your hydrology career.